This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. Hello, and welcome to the Fantastic Four review. And today, we are finally getting to some more interesting characters. Because the final 3 characters in the wave are honestly very interesting. And I'm saying this because they don't use the same paint on all of the rest of these characters. So, yeah, today we are getting into the most similar of these super distinct characters, and we're reviewing The Thing, who is pretty big. From what I can tell, this figure reuses the most of the molding from the Walgreens exclusive The Thing. Though he does have a couple of new elements within him. But I think it's done very well. There's some decent painting, though there are some complaints about it, but I didn't try the other one. The other one's a lot more well done, and I kind of wish I had a more wide release, but it's just a Walgreens exclusive, which honestly kind of sucks that it was just at Walgreens, because Walgreens kind of sucks in all honesty. Why would you buy toys at Walgreens? Like, what the hell, dude? But whatever. Now let's take a closer look at this action figure, who I think looks very good. Starting off at the head, I think it's done pretty darn well. However, when you're shopping for him, you gotta be sure to get eyes that line up very well. There were 2 options at the store that I purchased it at, thankfully, and I picked the one that I felt had the best eyes. Because you gotta be careful with the paint apps for the eyes, because they can look kinda, like, off if you're not careful. But I do really like the sculpting. I think it's a very quintessential Thing head with the huge eyebrow and the upper lip, and yeah, I think it's very well done. Moving on to the arms, they have a nice rocky texture in them, and I do really enjoy how the rocky texture looks. I think it just looks great, especially for what they're trying to do with the big orange rocks that the Thing has, and yeah, I just really enjoy it. Moving on to the body, a lot of the same things can be said. However, I do kind of like how these 4 rocks look like abs, and I do honestly like the lighter orange that's painted kind of sparsely. I kind of wish there was more of that throughout the figure, but it's only really on certain parts, and it's just absent on others, and I just wish that the little bits of orange was a bit more present throughout the rest of the figure. Now, moving on to the pants. This is the closest thing to a Fantastic Four uniform that he gets, and there's this bit. It's able to be shifted around because it's not attached to the waist or anything. I like to keep it down here because that's what hinders articulation the least, and it kind of looks like it's in line with the rest of the pants, even though it's obviously risen, and obviously the blue looks slightly different from the painted blue, which is honestly a bit annoying, but I can live with it if they're trying to make it look different from the Walgreens exclusive one. Now the rest of the legs, I think they're fine. A lot of the same stuff can be said. These are some nice big feet that allow them to have nice amount of stability on the ground, unlike the rest of the members of the Fantastic Four, which is really annoying. Yeah. Now at this point of the review, after going over a lot of the stuff, which honestly he looks really good, if we're gonna end that off like that, they would typically continue into accessories. However, this figure's so big that the only accessories that he has, I'm pretty sure, is the head for the Build-A-Figure, and we don't show the Build-A-Figure parts on this review as accessories. So, yeah, I guess we just gotta get right on into the articulation then. The head, surprisingly, is your typical Marvel Legends joint, where it's on a ball joint that allows it to swivel around, though it does swivel around a bit weirdly because of the way that the back is sculpted in kind of a hunch, and has the typical side to side and up and down, and also has a hinge that allows him to look down not super far and up a decent amount, which is always greatly appreciated because it's kind of uniform across Marvel Legends, but I do like how it looks in all honesty. Now moving down to the arms, he has your typical kind of go all the way around and then go out joint that a typical Marvel Legends has. However, he sadly doesn't have a bicep swivel. However, that's compensated by the lower arm swiveling here, which it's fine, allows him to do decent punching point poses, but I wish it was a little bit more defined. And then he also has a hinge here that only goes a little bit. I wish it went a bit more, but what are you gonna do sometimes? maybe you could try to get more out of it by swiveling it around this way, and you can kind of get more by swiveling it around like that, which is what it wants you to do, actually. I had it swiveled around the wrong way. Sorry about that. And then the hand is on a typical hinge joint, but the hinge is very tight and in a very tight amount of space, so you're not really able to get a lot out of the hinge, but it is able to swivel pretty darn well. Now the torso has a lot more articulation than you would think for something that kind of just looks like a big old brick. He does have a ball joint here at the upper torso, which allows him to do whatever the heck you need him to here, though it is a bit limited, doesn't allow much crunch or backward or whatever, but he does have a waist swivel, which helps a lot in his articulation. The legs are on your typical Marvel Legends style leg, just on a larger scale, where it's able to move forward a lot, back not super far because of the butt joint, and then it's able to move out. I wish it was able to move out a bit more, but it is some of the better range that we've gotten out of this line. He also has the thigh swivel, as per usual, a nice double-jointed knee, which is always greatly appreciated on larger figures, and the feet are on your typical rocker joint forward and backward hinge, which is great articulation for a figure that's just so bulky. Now, for $20, you would expect something of this size to be more of a brick, but thankfully, he's not. He's able to do some really nice poses, and I thank Hasbro for putting all of that work in. Now, moving on to size comparisons, I'm pretty sure he's, like, one of, if not the tallest figure in the wave. And he measures out to be about, I'd say, almost 8 inches. So I'd say 7 3/4 inches tall, which is very big for a Marvel Legends figure. And to compare him to other figures, here we have the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Hulk, finally a figure that he can kind of contend up in height with, or whatever, but I think they punch each other sometimes. It's kind of cool, but yeah. To compare him to another big boy from this wave, here we have the Marvel Legends Super Skrull, which is the Build-A-Figure for this wave. We'll review him at the end of the week. Here we have a high-grade Gundam model kit. I forget the name of it specifically. Sandrock, maybe? I don't know. It's one of the grunt suits from Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. If you know its name, tell it in the comments for the people to know. Here he is with the previous review, his sometimes friend, sometimes rival Johnny Storm. Here he is with the amazing Yamaguchi Bleeding Edge Iron Man. And finally, here he is with the rest of the Fantastic Four. And honestly, it's great to have all of them together, as I've said before, and it's also great that I finally reviewed them all. Yay, and I didn't have to spend 4 weeks doing it, which is why this event exists, for me to not waste a lot of time doing stuff like this. So all in all, I think this is my favorite figure that they released at the Fantastic Four. I think it's very well done. It's nice to have a nice large figure with a nice amount of articulation and a decent amount of paint. I wish that he did have more hand accessories so that he could do more dynamic hand poses, kind of like the Hulk figure. But sadly, he does not. I like, just open hands would have been nice, but whatever, I get it. $20 price constraint. And yeah, overall, I think this is my favorite of the Fantastic Four, though not my favorite of the wave. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff if you enjoyed this video and want more videos like it. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow as we continue this event by going into our first non-member of the Fantastic Four, kind of, as we get into She-Hulk, or as the wave calls it, Hulk, or whatever. I'm sure it's a comic thing that I am not 100% aware of. And I hope to see you then. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Click the things.